is a beautiful Friday in the land of work and joy, the land of Zambia. Today is, of course, the 20th of October 2023. We are, of course, in the third quarter of 2023, meaning we are bringing the year 2023 to a close. I hope some of the aspirations that you laid down for this week or for this year, you've been ticking and you know where you are going. Remember, it is important every year, just like government does the budget for the year ahead of time, we equally do the same. When you're going in a particular year, just write down some of the things that you intend to do in that particular year. And as time goes by, you keep ticking. What you achieve, you keep ticking. What you don't achieve, even government does a supplementary budget. You can equally move them to next year. But what is just important is the fact that you are moving, going somewhere, and not just stuck and stagnant. So just a tip for those, in case you just don't do that, it is important for you to plan for your year ahead of time so that you work towards attaining certain goals and aspirations. Of course, this morning I am your host, Prudence Chota, and this morning I am excited because I am counted among the living. You heard me. Sometimes it's just important to thank God for the gift of life that we have. When you sleep and you wake up every morning, when you open your eyes, it's not because you are clever that you have woken up that particular morning, but it's because of God's grace. So it is just important just to spare even just a minute. If you can't give God 10-20 minutes of your time, you can even give him a minute just to say thank you for this morning. So of course I am really excited to be counted among the living. That's why you can see the smile on my face says it all. But before I talk too much, let's go into the health corner and just see what the doctor has on the health tip for this morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Namunji Matale, part of the Medical Women's Association of Zambia, particularly the Ethics and Advocacy Committee. And today we are bringing to you the special topic of breast cancer. Now, if you watched our first episode for this week, we're talking about commemorating Breast Cancer Awareness Month this October. It's Pink October. That's why I'm in pink. I hope you'll be wearing your pink attire to work or to wherever it is you'll be, whether you're in school or wherever it is you'll be, just to raise awareness about breast cancer. Now, you might be wondering, okay, what's this thing called breast cancer? I've heard about it, or I had a relative who suffered from breast cancer, or I just know someone who suffered from breast cancer. So breast cancer, as it suggests, is an abnormal growth of cells in the breast. As we know, we all have cells in our body. We have brain cells, we have muscle cells, we have heart cells, we have cells all over our body. Now, a cancer forms when the cells in a particular part of the body grow in an abnormal way or at an abnormal rate such that they start to form a tumor. So when this tumor forms in whatever part of the body, it starts to compete with the body for all its nutrient supply and everything else. So that's basically what happens in the breast. And we have what we call breast cancer or a breast tumor. You have this group of cells that grow abnormally. They start to compete with the rest of the normal cells for oxygen, for blood, and everything else that the cells might need. And it starts to deprive your normal healthy cells of everything that they need. And that's where the danger with cancer comes in. And most importantly, the other danger with cancer is that it can spread, or in medical terms, we call it metastasize. So it can metastasize or spread to other parts. I'm sure you've heard of something to say, oh no, the cancer has spread to the liver, or the cancer has spread to the bones. So that's what we call metastasis. So with breast cancer, we have abnormal cells forming inside the breast. They're growing at a rapid rate. They're forming a tumor which starts to compete with healthy tissue for nutrients and everything that the cells normally need. And it can actually spread. Now you might be wondering, okay, so you've told us what breast cancer is, but who's at risk? Is it absolutely everyone who can get breast cancer? So with the risks of breast cancer, females are more likely to get breast cancer than males. Of course, there are males who can develop breast cancer, but it's more common in women. And also, women who've never had children are at a higher risk of developing breast cancer than those who've had children. Women who have never breastfed, especially even after giving birth, are also at risk. People who abuse alcohol, people who smoke, females who are overweight or obese, people who lack exercise, and there's also a much higher or increased risk of someone developing breast cancer if they have a family history of it, or if there's a close family member who had breast cancer or some other kind of cancer, whether ovarian, or as long as you know that you had a relative who had cancer, you are at risk of developing breast cancer. So there's so many other risk factors to it, but those are some of the very important ones. Some of them also include women who are undergoing what we call hormonal replacement therapy. These are women who, after menopause, they're trying to just normalize the symptoms of menopause by introducing artificial hormones again. So such women are also at risk. And also women who've been on hormonal contraception as well are at risk. Women who had their first period very young are also at risk. So there's several risk factors to developing breast cancer. So if you know a relative or close family member who suffered from breast cancer before, it's important for you to also be on the lookout and be aware that you are also at risk of developing breast cancer. If you know you are a person who chooses to take alcohol, if you abuse the alcohol, you're at risk of developing breast cancer. If you're a person who smokes, we plainly don't advocate for smoking at all. I wouldn't even say reduce. I would advocate for you to stop smoking, because cigarette contents increase your risk of developing breast cancer. So on our next episode, we'll be talking about screening and self-examination for breast cancer. But for today, we just wanted you to know what the cancer is exactly, the fact that it can spread, the fact that it is treatable when it's caught early, and also some of the risk factors that we've highlighted. So we hope tomorrow morning you'll be able to catch us to learn about how to self-examine and more about screening for breast cancer, especially if you identify with any of the risk factors that we've mentioned and many others. Hoping to see you tomorrow morning.
There you have it. That was the doctor there giving us a tip about breast cancer. Remember, the month of October is a month of cancer awareness, where we know now that we have got quite a number of people in our country who are battling with cancer. And to make matters worse, you will notice that if you go to the cancer diseases hospital for you to be attended to, it has become a challenge due to numbers of people who are there, and sometimes they do consider, you know, the dire cases before those ones, like for people who are a little bit better, which is very unfortunate, because that also contributes to the long time that someone stays without being attended to, making their condition even worse. I know I have got a mother who equally has suffered cancer before, and it was very difficult for her to access health services at the Cancer Disease Hospital here in Lusaka. She had to travel to Tanzania. That's where she was attended to. So we know government has proposed in the 2024 national budget to construct more cancer hospitals on the Copper Belt and in Livingstone, and in some instances works have even commenced. I hope it will not just be you have an infrastructure like is the case at UTH, but you don't have machinery. Every time you go there, no, machine is down, this is what. When it all works on 2-3 people, the machine goes down. I hope when we construct this cancer diseases hospital, we will also procure better equipment in these facilities, because it's one thing to have a facility, it's also another thing to have machinery. So it is Cancer Awareness Week, and we sympathize with all our brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, colleagues, aunties who are battling cancer. We love you, and through this period we will move along with you one way or the other. Most of us have had our family members who've just had to go through this terrifying moment, but in everything we give God thanks, because He is the giver of life. Also, we are going to look at the money market this morning. How is it that our local currency is performing against other major convertibles? Let's look at this. There you have it. As of today, 20th of October 2023, the Zambian kwacha against the Great British Pound is buying at 25 kwacha 99 ngwe and selling at 26 kwacha 51 ngwe. There you have it. The Zambian kwacha against the euro, on the other hand, is buying at 22 kwacha 62 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 06 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the South African rand, our neighbor here in Africa, is buying at 1 kwacha 12 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 14 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar, they are buying at 21 kwacha 38 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 18 ngwe. That is the money market for this morning, not according to what we expect, but I know we have seen a stability in terms of the local currency. For some time, kwacha against the US dollar has been trending at almost what we are seeing between 21 kwacha, 22 kwacha, and I think this has been going on for the past 2 weeks. So it is not a good figure, of course, but also the aspect of stability. It becomes a problem when you have your local currency. Today you wake up, it's at 22, tomorrow it's at 23, the other day it's at 21, the other day 19, the other day that means there is no stability. But where it is right now, it's not where we expect it to be. But even despite that being the case, there is that stability where there is literally no movement in terms of our local currency performance. But anyway, we wish this government all the best. Remember, when UPND administration fails, we all feel the pinch. So let's wish them success, so that we can celebrate along. This also is a challenge to those who are aspiring to be presidents. I know you hear this when I come on the show every Friday. I will keep talking about it, because the more we talk about it, the more it sinks in someone's mind. If you want UPND to fail, when you take over office, trust me, things will be harder than you think. We have seen what is happening now with the now president, because our former leaders, I can't say they failed. They tried what they thought was right, but it just didn't work for the country. And now UPND administration is paying for some of the mistakes that the Patriotic Front made. Please quote me correctly, some of the mistakes. I'm not saying everything they did was a mistake, but some of the mistakes they made, such as, over borrowing. We know they borrowed to invest in whatever infrastructure and stuff like that, but the fact is, the debt that we borrowed became unsustainable. When you say unsustainable, it means you can't pay back as a country. That was one grave mistake that we made. I know a lot of people have argued, and economists have said, no, countries don't survive just by raising money locally. They equally need to borrow, which is true. I don't dispute that fact, but you borrow with caution, because even in a home, imagine you go and borrow more than what you are even making in a house. It chokes you. It becomes unsustainable. You are now, everything you get paid. I know there are some civil servants or other people's payslip. When you get paid, there is a negative. All the money has been consumed by debt. It means the debt levels in your home have become unsustainable. And as a parent, you can't go to those levels where you borrow more than the income that you earn. Whenever you get paid on your payslip, there are negatives that are being shown there. That's not healthy. It means there is a problem. So this is a situation where we got in, and now UPND administration is working hard to rectify that problem. But things are hard. You see, this is the problem. When you wish your other opponent to fail, even you as a leader, when you take over, you're not going to find a smooth road. So this is just a challenge to those aspiring to become leaders in Zambia. Let's wish this administration success, so that even as you take over, you will realize that things will be smooth for you, and the efforts that you put in to help Zambia will be seen. But where it is now, even all the efforts that the UPND administration is putting in, people are not appreciating it, because Milimi is selling at 300 kwacha, because transport has doubled. From here to Mpika, literally you need a 400. Go come, you need about 800 to 1,000 kwacha. That's just transport. Now imagine if you're doing business, that's about your profit. So doing business, cost of doing business has become high, the cost of living has become high, you can't import things, the kwacha has really dropped. Imagine if you're exporting things from, Great British, you're using their currency, literally you have to spend 25% more of your own local currency. That's really expensive. So we wish this government all the best. If they succeed, will equally succeed. So a challenge to opposition leaders, let's be solutions to what is happening in the country and not problems. Because we've seen some opposition leaders, when they open their mouth to speak, it's always problems. Yeah, so that is just a tip and an advice to my fellow Zambians who wish to see Zambia succeed and progress. Then also, we cannot run away from the fact that, Zambia depends usually on mining for its forex, for its foreign currency. When you talk about foreign currency, what do you mean? I can give you an example of China, because China is doing a lot of manufacturing. They have a lot of local foreign currency going into their country, starting with the US dollar, including the kwacha. We've seen a lot of Chinese businesses in here. So, their country is flooded with all manner of currencies. As a result, China's economy is performing very well. But here in Zambia, we literally have few currencies coming in because we don't manufacture, we can't trade with other countries. But copper and mining in general is one of the biggest earners of our country's forex. So we need to also participate in the mining of this country by, beginning to mine on a small scale. That's why this particular program on Friday, usually we talk about mining. What we want is to promote, a lot of participation in mining from young people, from the youths. I know when we hear the word mining, we usually refer it to people who are elite, as if they are the only ones who can participate in mining. But I'm here to challenge you that even you watching me this morning, seated in the comfort of your home, you have the capacity to engage in mining and make forex for this country. That is the only way we are going to develop Zambia. If you cannot participate in mining, at least you can participate in agriculture, sell your produce outside, and allow more forex to come in the country. That is one way we are going to promote development in Zambia. So that's why usually on Friday you tune in and you'll be saying, this girl, what's the problem? She's just every day talking about the same thing. It becomes boring. Even a song, when you hear it for a particular period, you begin to know all the lyrics that are in that song. Tefio Malanda. Word by word. So that's why we are talking about this, because we want to encourage you to join the mining sector. It doesn't matter who you are, how much you have in your bank account. I'm here to challenge you to say it is possible and we can do this together. How? The people come here on the program to discuss about these issues. Sometimes just take time to get their numbers and just talk to them. You might not know, even in your backyard, you might be sitting on tons and tons of gold, that which we need to develop the country. So that's just a tip from me this morning to you, and we hope this morning we will continue to have a wonderful discussion as we always do on a Friday like today. But at this particular point also, we are going to zoom into some of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. And interestingly, we did see Mr. Garin Kombo, who's the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, implore the church not to agree to be patronized by politicians. So speaking when he officiated at the second National Prayer Breakfast meeting in Lusaka Thursday, Mr. Nkombo says the church has a special role to play in governance through the provision of spiritual guidance. He says the church must stand far from partisan politics and give wise counsel to politicians whom he said sometimes get corrupted with power. I'm impressed that this advice is coming from someone in government. He is advising the church to advise politicians, because you know politicians sometimes when they get in office they just get carried away by power. So that was Mr. Nkombo speaking yesterday at the second National Prayer Breakfast meeting. So after the day of prayer, which was on Wednesday, for those who were praying and fasting, the day after, the committee and other people do hold a meeting just to reflect on what was happening during the time of national prayer. And now Mr. Nkombo here is advising to say, you know, the church should play its role of offering counsel and not start to play politics. We have a lot of politics in church nowadays, but let me go there. Let's zoom into this story that made a headline in our news. And let's just see what Mr. Nkombo said at this meeting.
The Zambia commemorated the National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Repentance and Reconciliation, which falls on the 18th of October. Thursday, 19th October 2023, stakeholders converged for the National Prayer Breakfast meeting. The event draws its origin from the United States of America, and Kenya has been among other countries holding the activity, and Zambia has followed suit with the year 2023 marking the second commemoration. The event brought together stakeholders from the three arms of government, being the executive, legislature and the judiciary, as well as the church, defense wings and the general citizenry. Officiating the event, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo has implored the church not to agree to be patronized by politicians. He says the church must not relent in providing wise counsel to politicians and must position itself towards building strong institutions and achieving a corruption-free society.
So we have a duty as a collective to regulate one another. And because I'm brutally frank sometimes, we should also accept that the clergy have also had their fair share of mistakes when they accept to be patronized by politicians. They must always stand above us politicians. This country, thank you very much. The clergy, the church must always stand high above on the pedestal, above us politicians, just like the chiefs. But you normally fall prey because of patronage, and never agree to be patronized by us politicians.
Meanwhile, Second Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Attractor Chisangano, says they are in the process of establishing a parliamentary Christian caucus.
The Parliamentary Christian Caucus will also spearhead the annual National Prayer Breakfast event that we hope will become a part of the national calendar regardless of the party in power, with the Republican president in attendance. It is also our express desire to bring together leaders from the three wings of government, as well as leaders from private sector, business and the marketplace to pray together, fellowship, reflect, discuss and dialogue around a leadership topic of interest at the time in the country, and so to promote unity, integrity and servant leadership in our country.
A National Prayer Breakfast Organizing Committee Chairperson Dr. Lutangulubasi says successive governments have demonstrated commitment to lead the country based on Christian principles.
My challenge to you, brothers and sisters, and indeed leaders, what is the point if we educated our people, they became brilliant, but there were still thieves and corrupt people, and they are stealing and plundering the economy? I believe that Christian values are very important for our nation. And therefore, this National Prayer Breakfast, much like the Day of Prayer, is a vital component of us instilling Christian values in this nation that we've called a Christian nation.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
There you have it. Pardon me, that was Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo there speaking at the second National Prayer Breakfast meeting in Lusaka that was attended by a number of prominent clergies in our country from what you saw there, and he was advising politicians, was advising the church to say do not allow politics to infiltrate in the church. Mr. Nkombo also said sometimes when politicians get in power, they get corrupted by power, you know, where power just corrupts you. So he was saying, you know, the church should stand far from partisan politics and give wise counsel to politicians who, he said, sometimes get carried away by power. That was Mr. Nkombo speaking there yesterday. And we also saw the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Madam Attractor Chisangano, say that they are in the process of establishing a parliamentary Christian caucus. You too can be part of the conversation this morning. What is your take with regards to what Madam Attractor Chisangano said when she said they're in the process of establishing a parliamentary Christian caucus? Do you think this is going to bring politics in church? We saw prior to 2021 general election, we saw quite a number of, you know, groups. We had the Christians for Lungu and stuff like that. The other camp, which was saying no, these have to go and stuff like that. But again, we've seen now Parliament saying they're going to establish a parliamentary caucus for the church. Maybe just what would really be your take on that? Do we really need a parliamentary caucus for the church, and what will be its role in offering checks and balances to the government? Remember, what we are trying to avoid is a situation where the church fails to speak because they feel they belong to a faction of government and stuff like that. We need, if anything, the church to be the one to speak, give counsel, checks and balances to government, because at least we know the church should be neutral. But if a parliamentary caucus is established for the church, what are we expecting to see? So that was part of the story that made headline in our news yesterday. You too can be part of the conversation and we can get to conversate. What is your take on that? Shout out this morning to people who are watching us on different platforms. On our Facebook page there, I can see Mwanza More, a strong support system, watching this program. Shout out to you and your family, of course. And also I do see DJ Yoas Adudu watching from Makeni, Lusaka, for sure. Yes, for sure. Thank you that you are tuned in this morning and we are having this wonderful discussion. Others, you too can send your messages and let's be shout out to you and your family on this particular program this morning. So that was some of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. And we will look also into another story where Mototwe Kafaya, who's Lunte Member of Parliament, has challenged government to clear its air on allegations that the Zambia National Service is importing 10 metric tons of mealie meal from South Africa, which could be genetically modified organisms for local sale. So there's been a lot of talk around GMOs, and we are hearing that government is importing maize from South Africa, suspected to be GMOs, and giving it to, you know, ShopRite stores and for sale to the Zambian people. So these are accusations that are coming from the opposition. And speaking during a press conference Thursday, Mr. Kafwaya has also labeled the sale of mealie meal by ZNS as a poor solution to the country's higher commodity prices. Meanwhile, Chisali Member of Parliament Kalalwa Mukosa has urged Minister of Finance and National Planning Dr. Stomikom Sokotwane to scrap the proposed person-to-person mobile money transfer tax increase. Mr. Mukosa has charged that government is giving unjustified tax incentives to the mining sector while penalizing Zambians through the increase of person-to-person mobile money tax charges. So that was another story that made headline in our news yesterday. You too can be part of the conversation and let us know just what you have to say about this particular incident. Is it true that government is importing maize which is genetically modified from South Africa and giving it to ShopRite stores? I know a lot of debate around these issues, but we did see, I think, another news item yesterday where government was denying that it is actually buying maize from there. According to government, you know, we have got the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, that stocks quite a number of grain for emergency purposes, like the situation now, and government is getting part of the money from that to finance, to cushion the impact of mealie meal. Also, we did see Chisani Member of Parliament, proposed to government that what was proposed in the 2024 national budget, remember, government has increased the fee to personal transaction. For example, if I'm sending money from my MTN account to someone else's MTN account, it was, I think, free, or the charge was very minimal, about 0 point something kwacha or ngwe. But this time around, you have to pay around 18 ngwe to 1 kwacha 18 ngwe. So that is also a way of government raising money. But, you know, it opposes and it says, you've given tax holidays to the mines. Why should we be the one to foot for that particular bill? So let's zoom into this story that made headline in our news yesterday, even as we go towards having our guest this morning, where we will be discussing a very important topic. When I mean very important, I mean very important. So let's just zoom into this story that made headline in our news yesterday.
The Patriotic Front PF Finance Committee has challenged Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwani, to abandon the proposed increase of person-to-person mobile money transfer levy. In the 2024 national budget, government has proposed to introduce a levy of between 8 ngwe and 1 kwacha 8 ngwe on the transaction value for person-to-person mobile money transfers. Speaking during a press conference Thursday morning, Chinsari Member of Parliament, Kalwe Mukosa, says the proposed move is detrimental to Zambians.
Is because most of the mobile money transactions are done by those people who do not have bank account. Usually it's those who are underprivileged and the poor. Of course, even those who are above, they do use mobile money, but they do not use mobile money transactions as compared to those who are in a lower bracket.
Meanwhile, a Member of Parliament, Mutoto Kafaya, has questioned the authenticity of the 2022 Auditor General's report, which established no audit queries in the year under review.
Is the period when there are cancellations upon cancellations of fertilizer, procurement processes. The Auditor General cannot find anything and no key audit issue. If you remember those illegal audit reports which were contracted by the Minister of Finance, government is now failing to pay some of those people. Why? Because government is demanding that they remove some information from the audit reports. Government is uncomfortable that the issues of FISIP, particularly to do with those contracts, to do with the jangulos and so on, should not be in the audit findings.
Mr. Kafaya has also challenged government to put to rest allegations that it is importing suspected GMO mini meal from South Africa.
Government must come good and tell the Zambian people whether they have entered into a contract to import 10 million metric tons of mini meal from South Africa, which could be GMO.
For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
There you have it, Lunte Member of Parliament there, adding his voice to the aspect of mealie meal in the country. And then also saying ZNS providing cheaper mealie meal is not a solution. I would like to hear from the members of the public over this particular issue. Remember, there was a cry from people, the opposition, and everyone who was saying the price of mealie meal is just too high. Government comes in and says, okay, through ShopRite stores, because ShopRite is in most of the parts of the country, ZNS is going to be offloading mealie meal at 230. I know this is not cheap, looking at where the economy currently is, but they say, okay, instead of the 330 it is selling at, or 300, we are going to be giving it at 230. Again, people are crying and they're saying, no, why should ZNS start giving cheaper mealie meal when, we have other private sector players on the market, which is going to cause a problem? So I just don't know. What do you think is the solution to this particular problem? Looking at the way things are at the moment, fuel is high, the cost of production has become high, and a 50 kilogram bag of maize is being bought at 300, or rather 250 kwacha. Where do we expect to see mealie meal prices be? You know, I've been seeing a lot of people writing to say, Zambia, like, what do you really want? We have this cheaper milling meal, which government says it's going to be providing, you're criticizing. Even when milling meal was high, you're still criticizing. And then also other people have argued to say, you know, where ShopRite is from where we are, if I'm to go and buy there, I post the cost of transportation, it becomes very expensive. And they are saying government could have used, you know, local stores to supply this commodity. You too can be part of the conversation and let us know what you have to say about this. Timothy Mulayai. Timothy Mulayai, they are watching from Chongwe. It's good to know Chongwe this morning. Mr. Mulayai is watching and tuned in this morning. Also, we are excited that you have joined us on this program, just as we allow our guests to settle so that we can begin to digest today's topic. Remember also, just a tip, let me give you a tip of an iceberg. Last 2 months ago, the Ministry of Mines issued funds. When we say fund, they were funding, yes. You know, where they fund you because you've done something wrong and they ask you to pay a fine. So they did that to over 1,000, I think there were about 2,000 small-scale miners who were funded different prices, starting from 90,000 to 280,000, which are for being non-compliant. Now, these small-scale miners were trying to negotiate with government to see how they can cut on that particular, you know, fund because it was too high. But now government has told them that should they not pay in a period that government has stated, which comes to an end this month, they are going to have their mines grabbed from them. This is what is currently obtaining on the grounds. We were hoping to have someone from the Ministry of Mines just to come and give us highlights about that particular incident and why the ministry has taken that route and not negotiated with the people who are affected. So just speaking to that also, I will be joined by representatives from the Federation of Small-Scale Miners, where we will discuss this effect. How is this going to affect us as a country, considering also the fact that, you know, there has been a struggle in small-scale mining. So just before I could allow my guests to settle in, I'm going to zoom into one last story where the Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research, ZIPA, cautioned government not to give too many tax incentives to investors, as this reduces government's ability to collect enough revenue to finance the national budget. So what ZIPA is saying is that, you know, government this 2024 has proposed that majority, almost 80% of the budget is going to come from within the country, the local market. But you cannot collect the much needed revenue if at all you continue giving incentives to the people who are supposed to pay taxes. And they also argued to say, you know, when an investor is coming in your country, they will not be attracted to the incentives. They will be attracted to the business environment that is around. So ZIPA Executive Director Dr. Eric Mpoko has argued to say tax incentives are not a solution. What they are just doing is they are limiting government's ability to collect enough taxes needed to finance the national budget. Even in countries where taxes are very high, investors will still go and invest because they are looking at the investment environment which is around and what they'll gain out of it. So it says if government does not come up with better mechanisms, you know, to raise resources through taxes, we are going to see a situation where there will literally be nothing to finance the budget, as was the case in this year where we saw mining sector has not performed according to what we expected, despite them being given tax holidays. Imagine in the second quarter of 2023, government even had to go in government coffers. She reserve, she didn't get money to finance the budget because they did not collect taxes that were needed from the mining sector. So why should we continue giving them incentives when over this 2-year period we've given them, nothing has come out of that? So that was the argument by the Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research. So let's zoom into that story that made headline, even as we allow our guests to settle. In a quest for Zambia to stop depending so much on revenue from outside to finance its national budget, the Zambian government, through the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Situmbeko Msokotwane, has proposed to finance over 80% of its budget through domestic revenue mobilization, which entails that resources to finance the 177.9 billion kwacha 2024 national budget will be raised from the local market. The Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research ZIPA Executive Director Dr. Henrique Mpuku has however cautioned government not to continue giving too much tax incentives to investors, which he says has been limiting government's ability to raise the resources needed to finance the national budget.
We have to be cautious in terms of the incentives that we give to potential investors. Now, when investors come into this country, they come for a particular business proposition. Like if they are coming to mine, they've identified a mineral resource which they want to mine. If they found appropriate climatic conditions, they know certain crops can grow there. They want to exploit that potential. So there's a fundamental business proposition which they are following. They are not coming here for incentives. The incentives are more like an icing. So we have to be cautious in terms of the incentives that we give so that we avoid a significant loss of revenue. The question is, the incentives we give out, are they generating the intended effect?
And commenting on the current milling meal saga in which government has stepped into the market to offload cheap milling meal to the public to cushion the escalating price of the staple food, Dr. Mpuku says such moves by government have the potential to destabilize the market, but has instead advised government to diversify the agriculture sector and allow the market forces to control the pricing.
Up on your production, strengthen the agricultural production system, diversify your agricultural output. Don't just focus on maize, cassava, millet, and there are markets within the country, there are also markets outside the country. And then strengthen the market. Allow the market to evolve and function in the private sector market without government intervention.
In Zambia, we are fighting over milling meal prices, not pasta, cake, champagne, whatever. Milling meal prices. That is a shame to us because that's our basic staple food.
In the 2022 Auditor General's report, it has been recorded that the country lost over 92 billion kwacha in uncollected taxes, a situation that needs to be addressed if the proposed 177.9 billion kwacha 2024 national budget is to be effectively implemented while expanding the revenue streams. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News. There you have it, the ZIPA Executive Director, Dr. Henrique Mpuku, there adding his voice to the aspect of giving too much incentives to investors, which limits government's ability to raise enough taxes needed to finance the national budget. So according to Dr. Mpuku, even if you don't give incentives, when an investor wants to come in the country, they will look at the investment environment and they will still come and invest. He also spoke to the aspect of milling meal, which is being talked around everywhere. And I can see there, Mishek Zambwe, they are saying, watching you from Mumbwa ZNS camp, the cost of living is high. I do agree with you, Mr. Zambwe, on that one. The cost of living in the country is not performing according to what many expect. I've also seen there Mr. Hendrik Cassandra, they are following the programs and proceedings. So many others that have shouted out to who are watching this program. We appreciate the fact that you've tuned in to watch this particular program. Now, moving on to the topic of discussion this morning, we are discussing capitalizing the small-scale mining sector. Remember what I explained earlier, as I said, I allow my guests to settle in. I did mention the fact that government has penalized over 2,000 small and medium-scale miners for non-compliance, and government has demanded that they pay fees ranging from 90,000 kwacha to 270,000 kwacha in penalty fee. They have been given end of this month, and now government is saying if they do not proceed and pay those charges, they will have their mines grabbed from them. So we are speaking to the fact that we need to capitalize this small-scale mining so that government can raise enough revenue to finance the national budget. Because, you know, the big ones, the big mines, we heard Minister of Finance when he was giving us a brief about, economic performance and ZRA, they did indicate that out of 1,600, if I can get the figure correctly, of mines, these mines that are registered with them, only 8 are paying taxes. That is being used to raise revenue for the country, a figure which is not good. But if we are to promote small-scale miners, there is a probability we might raise more revenue now that government has proposed that 80% of the 2024 national budget should come from the local market. How will that be attained? Through the collection of taxes. And that can only also be achieved if we empower the small-scale miners, capitalizing the mining sector. This morning, I am joined by the Federation of Small-Scale Miners Association of Zambia committee member, Madam Mary Lubemba. Madam, good morning.
Good morning.
Fine, thank you. It's good you can join me again on the program this morning after having a wonderful discussion last week. And also, I am joined by Mr. Joseph Kanyama, who is also a committee member of the Federation of Small-Scale Miners Association. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, Mama. Good morning, viewers.
Thank you so much that you can join me on set even this week. I know for those who joined the breakfast show, you will agree with me that the 2 guests that I'm having were also the guests that I did host last week, where we are trying to exhaust this particular topic. And in case you're just wondering, yes, mining is the backbone of Zambia's development. We do earn a lot of forex through mining in our country. And we bring this program because we want to prompt you who are seated in the comfort of your home to also take part in the riches of this country. So that's why we are talking about small-scale miners, medium-scale miners. How can you be part of it? All that will be discussed this morning. But just to dive into our conversation, Mr. Kanyama, let me start with you. Federation of Small-Scale Miners Association of Zambia. What are some of the benefits of being a member of the association? Maybe people can be wondering to say, we have a lot of associations. In the education sector, we have these associations that, people are saying they just nuke people of their resources. In the health sector, we have this association, and even in the mining. So what are just some of the benefits of people belonging to the Federation of Small-Scale Miners Association of Zambia?
Thank you very much. Personally, I feel honored to be asking such a question because I can flow better on it, understand how we formed it, where it is, how it has been. I'm the immediate past president of the Federation of Small-Scale Miners before the current one who is there. So I understand it well. The benefits of the Federation. Throughout the country, we have 16 associations, so we are quite knowledgeable to know what is happening on the ground. There was a time that we had found it difficult to talk with the government. How do we engage the government in our dealings? In 2001, we formed the Federation. What formed the Federation was the associations. From the associations, we picked people, we went for elections, they were voted in. The first one was in Osaka Hotel. That thing was formed. We found we had a very good rapport with the government. Instead of this association goes there, makes their own presentation. This one talks about this. It was a bit difficult for the government because they didn't understand who to listen to. That time it was a bit, and we have worked with the government very well. Yes. When you are there, you are able, as a miner, from where you come from, to tell your association, I've got these challenges, the challenges will bring it to the Federation will bring it to the government. As it is now, we are talking about penalties. Now, could you imagine all the associations goes to Minister of Mines, seeing the Minister, the PS, about the penalties. Is it easy for them? The answer is it's not easy. So we do appreciate the Federation that it makes life easy for our side and the ministry's side life. We coordinate, we have a very good rapport that we can say we are working together as one. That's a serious benefit about the Federation. Yes, sir.
You've talked about a very important aspect, which is currently the talk in the small-scale mining, and these are the penalties that have been slapped on most of you know, the small and medium scale miners. I think I did print out some of those names of those mines. I did say pamphlet because the names are a lot that have been tasked with, you know, this responsibility of paying for non-compliance. Let me move to you, Madam November, and I'm also going to throw this question to you, Mr. Kanyama. We have seen small-scale miners fail to break even and maybe mature from being small-scale miners to medium-scale miners. For many years, some small-scale miners have remained small-scale miners, and breaking even over the years has been a challenge, despite mining for years. Why do you think this has been the case? Why don't small-scale miners graduate to medium-scale mining, and then with a matter of time, big-scale miners?
Thank you very much. To answer on that one, I think what it is when you get into mining, you are given to understand that you can do mining with pick and shovel, which is not true. And that again is the knowledge. When you enter into mining, you have to have the knowledge. Yeah, and the only thing that can make you to produce, definitely it can only be equipment. Yeah, so with pick and shovel, where the machine will work for a day, it means the person who have worked for 20 years with pick and shovel cannot be compared to the one who has done a day with machinery. Yeah, so we lacked knowledge. So as days came by, we learned that it's not really the pick and shovel. It can only be equipment. Yeah, so as a result, many of us, we are like on the same.
For years, you've just been small-scale miners?
Yes, for 35 years.
Wow. Does that answer to the question why people think mining is only for the elite? Because we have quite a number of, you know, youthful potential who are there, who can do mining, but they've just decided to step away because they think mining is only for the elite and those with money. Do you think that has been the reason why most of the people shun to take part in mining?
I would say no, because a lot of people, they don't want to be in the bush. And yet, bush is where money comes from. So when you choose to be in the bush, that's when you learn that this is where you can get your bread and butter.
Kalale.
The ties, men are always with the ties and
white suits, jackets.
But when you just choose to go into the bush, you just, you know, educate yourself, or rather go further to seek advice on the mining, you can be able to have a good answer. Yeah, so it's not just for the elite or whatever, but you can still do better.
Mr. Kanyama, let me come to you. As I am today, no idea about mining, but I want to take part in this mining that everyone is talking about. What is the first step that I have to take to become effective in this industry? Because I throw the same question to you. For many years, most of small-scale miners have just remained small. So people just think, business is not just for us. We leave it for the elite and people with money.
Thank you very much, Oma. You're right, it says for many years. We have been in it for many years, but the heart of living it is not there. We need to struggle and persevere and go through. You see, business, mining is like any other business a man can do, a woman can do. Do not people come with a notion of thinking, of saying, I'll go and pick up this stone, tomorrow I'm rich. There's nothing like that. It's like any other business. You have to learn the do and don'ts in that business. Slowly you're passing there, you're graduating. And by so doing, you're losing your money. For you to recover, mining is capital intensive. One will come to you today, you have worked all these years, you're going to retire and get your 500,000 kwacha, and says, no, now I've got money, I can get into mining. You need to do a lot of homework before you make that decision. Otherwise, you lose your money. You're going to cry for that person. You bribed me, you told me this, there's money there, there's no money. No. You did not do your due diligence well. Mining is something that can spin within a clip of seconds. You're a millionaire. Nobody panda. Because you can make your money. So it will depend. How do you want to, how is it handling on you? How are you going to handle it? Handle it nicely, firmly, one day you succeed. It's not a game which is an overnight game.
Is it why most people fail? Because they come with the intention of, oh, I'll just buy a stone today and tomorrow I'm rich?
Exactly. There's a lot of thoughts on that nature of saying, nganasanga kaliwe, nikakapeze, nikamwala, maile nipanga ndalama. Akamwala akamdalaka. Nyamarodi, soma ilo nikulemela. No, there's nothing like that. You have got to go through, learn it slowly. You come from a nursery school. From sucking milk to nursery school to until you graduate, now I'm set. That's the way business is. But in mining, we make a lot of shortcuts in our thought, thinking we are going to make it. We can't quickly make it. We can't, but you have to make it. But it won't be overnight. I repeat that one. It will never be overnight.
Just like any other business.
Life's like any other business. You start buying one pan of buns, tomorrow you buy two, the other day, you have to start afresh. That is life. But when you give up, wherever you go, you have to start afresh again. Because it's like from this nursery school to another nursery school. You can't graduate to go to a primary school. You will not graduate to go to secondary school. Why? You keep on changing schools in the same grade. Can we change off our mind in this type of business? It's a good business. And as she said, for sure, people like us enjoy the bush.
So mining is in the bush, not in the towns,
Not
in Lusaka.
No, nothing. What are you going to mine from here? They stay the crushing stones for building material. Those who are willing, they're doing it.
And then maybe to add on that one,
to you, Madam.
Yeah, that's why we, after a long time, we just thought we have to have to come and we have to do some training. Yeah, from the basics, like just training from the basics, identifying of course from the mining issue. Like women, of course, we can't go underground, but we have our workers who do some basic training, and then on identification of gemstones, you have to identify a gemstone so that even if you get your pension, you should know that this stone that I'm buying, it will give me this much.
And that's why most of the people miss it, because you don't even have an idea.
Yes.
You don't want to invest in knowledge because you saw your neighbor Ari Beola and they come and tell you, give me money.
Amen.
And you put in your capital. Before you know it,
it's gone.
You've disappeared.
Yeah, so you need to know from the identification of the gemstones, of course, up to the value addition. Like I'm putting on something which is very, very much low, but if it was just, sold like a raw one, it cannot fetch money. But when you add value to it, it makes sense. So you have to come to that place where you have to know the identification of gemstones and up to the making of jewelry.
Who offers these programs for people to know the identification of minerals? Where can someone who wants today to participate, how are they supposed to go about it?
We have, of course, a training school. Is it a college or university in Ndola? Yeah, they take the basics. You can even go for 2 weeks, 1 month, 6 months, or 2 years course. But at the same time, you can still invite the same people from the school to come and give you the training at a place where you want to. Like at one time, as women miners, we invited the people from there, and that money it was paid by NGOCC. Yeah, so they came to Lusaka, and some women were trained in that one. And then the trainers also they have to continue training other people. Yeah. So that's what we have
you
done.
Continue passing the knowledge
Yes.
that you gain. Interesting. Let's just move to some of the things that we are looking at. As I mentioned earlier, for those who are joining us this morning, we are discussing capitalizing the small-scale mining or miners. And of course, we know that the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development 2 months ago did issue funds for over 2,000 small and medium-scale miners who were non-compliant. For various reasons, they were non-compliant, and the ministers now find them, the ministry, pardon me, ranging from 90,000 to 270,000 kwacha. And you'll find that some people have got 2 mines, and you're being told you have to pay 270,000 kwacha for each. Remember, these are small-scale miners who don't have the equipment to mine. They've just been doing it with shovel and mapikis and stuff like that, and you're told you need to pay 270,000. And the minister has given them, I think it's this month is the deadline for you to pay the resources, further to which you will have your mine suspended. So let me move to you, Mr. Kanyama. This move that has been taken by government, just give us an update so far. How have you gone with negotiations on this particular matter? I know last time I did host the president of the association, Pastor Mwansa. He did mention that the federation is actually trying to sit down with government and negotiate how these prices can be slashed to levels where people can afford to pay. As they are too high. So maybe just an update on how far you have gone with negotiations.
Thank you, Ma'am. For sure, we are on a table with the government, which is coming very positive to us. Yes. We had a very good side as a federation with the government. But that's not a story I can unbundle here. I'm sorry. I can't do that.
How far the negotiations have come.
Yes.
But supposing, should the government fail to cut on some of the requests that you're giving, what will be the implication or the impact on the majority of the small-scale miners?
For sure, if such a thing happens that we fail to meet somewhere that they're allowed to be there, it will be a very serious impact that we're going to have. Because one, we are flocking a lot of people from the bush into town as loafers, doing nothing. There's livelihood there that people are living on. If you get there, you'll be surprised to say people live in this bush, they're happy, they can afford to eat 3 times a day. What are we going to do to them? They are our captains. The ministry is our captain, which is there to supervise us. When one goes wrong, it's not the best method of whipping all the time. No. You sit a child down, you have done this, please move this way, as we are doing with them. There are fathers who are there supervising us, who we are moving together. We are very sure that it can't get to that level. They understand also. We are all Zambians involved into this. Who feels for the other? So we are looking towards a very positive decision from them. In fact, it's almost there. To us, we feel it's almost there. The decision is not almost there, but I cannot talk about it.
You cannot unbundle the content of the negotiations.
No, I can't do that.
Madam, let me come to you. The impacts or implications of government failing to come to term with some of the suggestions that are giving them as a federation. If it moves on to grab the mines to these over 2,000 small-scale miners, what will be the implications, even to your business?
It will bring death, a lot of deaths in the country. Because, of course, of this non-compliance, it could be there, but then we would have been warned. People would have been warned to say this thing is coming. Now, when they talk of non-compliance, some of us, we thought it was just area charges. When they talk of non-compliance, I don't know. With me, I thought it was just non-compliance. And then when I learned there was this other thing, which I was told like developmental, whatever reports. But then on that one, would have been taught before that this is what you're supposed to do. Of course, defense would be when you are given a license, this is what you are supposed to do. But then when they look at us, some people, we are educated halfway, where it's half. So if I didn't look at that one, what about the other one who does not even know anything, who didn't even go to school? But God gives a vision to someone who has never gone to school. What did you do to that person? So they would have given us chance, educate us, and then give us period when someone can be able to pay. Of course, there's that slashing, the 270,000. Then if they slash it, that's well and good. They have to start from where it started from. Then people can be able to pay slowly, small.
Should also be given a payment plan.
Yes, a payment plan. And if we look at what we depend on the word from the president himself. He says he's going to empower the small scale. He's going to empower the youth. He's going to empower the women. So where is empowerment here if they grab from something that you have worked for 30 years? So our appeal is there. Like he said, I'm sure it's halfway because the federation is the umbrella body, of course, of all small-scale miners, and they are the mouthpiece to all the associations. So I'm sure I believe it's going to be in our favor.
Let me also throw this to you. Going forward, as a federation, are you putting up mechanisms that will ensure that your members or the people you superintend over don't continue being compliant in the future? Are there mechanisms that you're putting in place to start teaching most of these small-scale miners on how to be compliant? Because I know when you just get a license and someone gives you this big document to go and do it, you find that most of the people are not even elites, they can't even read and understand. But when someone comes to there and sits you down and explains that this is how things are supposed to be, it's easy for them to understand. So that's why I asked to say, are you putting up mechanisms in the future to ensure that you train your people on how they're supposed to be compliant?
Definitely, we as a federation, we are ready to do that. If given chance, I mean, that's our duty. We can be going around or maybe bring in representatives from the associations of chairpersons. We educate them on what we are supposed to, they are supposed to do. So that one, yes, we can be able to do it as a federation.
Interesting. Mr. Kanyama, let me come to you. Today's topic is, of course, capitalizing the mining sector. When we talk about capitalizing, we are talking about how these small-scale miners can be helped with financing or how they can access financing. So what suggestions do you think should be implemented to support small-scale miners financially?
That's a nice one. Financial. There could be a reference that was done years back. Because to us, when we talk like that, we are not talking about today's government, yesterday's government. All the governments, they are ours. Some years before, there was some money that was given to small-scale miners. That money had a challenge whereby few people paid it back, others failed to pay it back. I was one of those people in that meeting. I can't run away from there. They came up with their thinking, how it can be done. I was one of them who said, can you change your model the way I've planned it to this way to suit small-scale miner, which people didn't listen. The way you're asking me, I'm able to outline, if we do this, we can move this way and people can pay back the money. But when it is done with our colleagues, technocrats in the offices, we have two divisions here. We have the technocrats who are seated in Ministry of Mines, who are miners also. We have the people in the field who are miners also. So we have two groups. When we team up together, we'll make up something very solid that will make this country move further. But when it is drawn in offices, throw it in the bush, it becomes difficult. Because the bush has got its own challenges. As we cannot take things from the bush, throw them all in offices. The offices have got their own challenges. Can we sit down and build one thing? My appeal for this one to work, yes, we can do very well when we sit together, the two sides. The Minister of Mines, the Federation, we sit together. How can we handle it? We are able to, they are able to tell us with this. Then we also come in, we do it this way. And it is our obligation to recommend who can get that money. We're in the bush. If they do it from the offices, they don't know whether that guy has got a blanket or a pot in that license. Because here the Quarato is a license. When you say license, you think I'm a miner. When was I last in the bush? Do I have a blanket in the bush? I don't have where to sleep in the bush. Oh, I'm seated in town. But because I've got a license qualification, give me money. You give me money, I'll go back in Mrs. and I'm going to give Tumbua. The name we're turning is about a small-scale miner. That's the name which is dented. Can we come out from those thoughts? We do it together, collectively, all of us. And we really need those funding. Our friends have been given funding. Like musicians, for example, we all know they were given money. But there's no money that has come to small-scale miners who are on the top of paying tax to the government. We're on the top of paying that. Because there's no stone, there's nothing that will move without you passing through Minister of Mines. They need to monitor you. They 100% need to monitor, and you need to pay for you being monitored. So it means I'm paying.
You've spoken about the fact that in the past, there were funds that were given to small-scale miners and paying back became a challenge. Why do you think that was the case? The case was, I thought I touched it. I'll touch it again. The challenge was that it was given through the officers at Ministry of Mines who did not understand who is on the ground mining. Yes. There was no recommendation from the Federation. And you can't argue. It's like government was working in isolation. Yeah, they worked on their own, yes. It's different from what we're seeing now, from that time with the way it is. That this time, the government is able to come and ask us, how do we go about this? We do this one, this one. Which we feel it's a much better side, that we are crying that we shouldn't go back to that side. We now have a discovery of more minerals in our country. Among it, we know that we now have sugilite, the one which is making too much noise, and we also have come to learn that sugilite is actually very expensive on the international market, one of the most expensive metals. And then also we have lithium. We have quite a number of minerals that we've just realized that we do have in the country. And for some reasons, some people have been mining even without the country knowing that this is what is happening. So let me throw this to you, Madam Luvemba. Should we encourage foreign investment in the sector, in sugilite, in lithium, these new metals that we've just discovered? Should we encourage foreign investment, or should government just leave this to the local people? Do you, the local people, have the capacity to mine sugilite? Or maybe, like it has always been, you discover new metals, you bring in outside investors because they come with machinery. I know you've mentioned the fact that we don't have machinery and stuff like that, so that's why I ask, should we give it to foreign investors or should we do it ourselves? Do you have the capacity? Small scale miners, Tipereni, do you have the capacity?
I'll just speak one word and then I give chance to Mr. Kanyama to talk on the sugilite and the lithium. The chewers, you know what they say? They say, Mulungu sapa sapa manja. Whatever it means. God will not come and say, here come Mr. Kanyama, I'll give you this. So, Mr. Kanyama, can you take up that one?
Thank you, Mama. There's, I'm sorry, you're going to get a lot of saying about it. There's a saying that we all know and understand, that fortune doesn't knock once at a man's door. It knocks once. Go, 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 go. Who is there? Fortune. If you say, oh, Mr. Fortune, get out, it go and knock at another man's door. They say, welcome, Fortune will come in. I'm trying to simplify to you about the same 2 minerals you're talking about. That's a fortune to us. That has come in our country as Zambians. We cannot give it to a neighbor. We can't agree to that. If you talk about Zambia's mining sudolite, Zambian mining lithium, do you know that, I don't know how to phrase it to you. The best thing is to understand how do we find sudolite. How do we find it when you're mining? It has been there. Me, I've seen sudolite before it was known by in the newspaper as sudolite. We've been playing with it. We've been throwing a lithium in Mapatisia. It is there, thrown all over the bush. The truth is, there was no discovery of the use that time. Now, because our colleagues have discovered the use with it, we say fortune has come. Why can we not sell it ourselves? What will fail, make us fail to mine it the way we used to mine it that time? We'll mine it the same. It does not come as sudolite in a line, say, this is a line of sudolite, let me follow it. No. It's like I'm asking you, Mami, I want to eat nsima myself. But the meme you are going to make, I don't want to see the maize brand. I'll charge you. How are you going to make meme without maize brand? How? It doesn't work. You need maize brand for you to find the meal. That's the way sudolite comes. When you are mining manganese, it is in between the belt of manganese that you find small pockets of sudolite. Now, how are we going to do it if we can't mine manganese? Or when I find it there, should I take it back in the soil and bury it? I'll come and mine it tomorrow. It's not possible. The geologist knows very well. They understand how it comes out. Lithium is the covers of amethyst. When I'm mining amethyst, I'll find a very small belt, like a line. We'll follow it, follow it, follow it. It will get big. It will get hard, Mami. It will be hard that you need a man for sure who will know who is the chosen man to get there. It's not the one who come there with something. When they take out those shoes, we're throwing them. That's what is sudolite. And what is lithium? That is what is lithium.
In short, it's a pegmatite.
Yes.
When you find a pegmatite, this is why we are saying we need some basics. We need to learn gemology because it's a pegmatite. So whenever you find a pegmatite, that's where the lithium is. It's not just. It's in aquamarine. It has to be a pegmatite. So if the other people mine aquamarine, they'll find the mica. Where they find the mica, that's where the lithium is. It's not just the lithium; it's the pegmatite. Yeah. So
now the way it is being brought out, as if it is just on its own, seated like a lamp in the soil, you go and pick it up. No.
So that's why you're suggesting to say you should be given the rights to mine because you're already mining it. And in this case, you can't mine. You've seen there is the pegmatite and you'll throw it away and say, okay, mine is just to mine this amethyst.
No, actually, pegmatite.
It's not possible.
So that pegmatite is what you bring for testing the pegmatite itself. So, and I'm sure pegmatite is all over, like in Southern Province, not just Mapatisia. It's all over in
Zambia.
All over
we know
Zambia.
It, Eastern Province, all the provinces, we know it is there.
So if they take pegmatite for testing, those who know how to test, they will find that this is lithium in here. Yeah, so.
Now, why should we think of separating the owners who find it? We can't think like that. I do not even think the minister can think like that at one time. Because we are the owners who discovers who we are throwing it away, it's us. Even now, if you're saying me, God bring a truckload, I know why I was throwing them. Oh, just pick, and we test this. They're the ones, let's load them. We were throwing those things away. But now we're finding Mr. Fortune has come for us. He's on our door.
It's time to shine.
It's time to shine. Yes. Should we throw him away? Mr. Fortune, we don't need you here. Because me and you being poor. I don't think we're being fair to ourselves. Our country needs money.
I'm not really a miner. I wish I will. I will be soon. But what I know, according to what you've mentioned, is the fact that sodulite comes from manganese. I don't know how manganese is mined myself. Maybe just a little education about that. Small-scale miners, do we have people engaging in the mining of manganese? You have the capacity to mine manganese?
Plenty,
They are doing it, but with pick and shovel. So if you have the chance of machinery and then you go deeper, it means that color changes from that manganese. It changes because you have gotten deeper. Then you will find the sodulite. Yeah. So like he's saying, he knew of the sodulite long time ago. I also came across the sodulite when I went to Hong Kong. Someone says this sodulite comes from Congo.
And Congo is our neighbor.
That's it. And that time I said, where can I get this color? Because I thought that color was amethyst. They said, no. I need this. This is sodulite. And I learned about it, and then I said, we don't have it in Zambia.
Wow.
But this thing of not reading, we would have known that time that that was the byproduct of manganese.
And you said it's not there in Zambia.
Byproduct of the manganese. Unless if the government, of course, will understand that it's a byproduct. Why is it just found in Luapula? Why is it that it's found in Mansa and Chembe? It's because that's where the manganese is.
It's found in Kabwe. That's where the manganese is.
Yeah, I remember there was an incident. I think there's a clip that has been trending on social media where the former president, Edgar Lungu, went to a certain area in Kabwe, in rural Kabwe. Yes, and with the former mines minister then. And you know, there was a Chinese company or a Chinese our friends who were mining manganese in that particular area. So at first when they went, they got a license for exploring. But what they did is they went, they mined. When they saw that they had mined and left ditches, they disappeared. So when the president was visiting that area, he found that there were a lot of ditches. And now he's standing, he's asking the Minister of Mines to say, they were mining here. And the minister says, yes, they were mining. Were they given rights to mine? No, they were given an exploration license. But why were they mining and no one knew about it? And the minister was quiet about that particular incident. So they mined manganese, and when they knew what they had done, they
were picking sodulite. They were picking sodulite.
No, they were picking, they were picking sodulite. The same with how lithium was discovered in Mapatizia, because someone got a very big land for exploration, and he had some workers working with him. So it was like each time they do the drilling, they take, he would take the thing, the stones, whatever he was picking. But one of them discovered that each time they picked somewhere, he would tell them, you can dig this, you can mine this. So that's how that thing came up. Because he wasn't going to disclose it if someone didn't go to steal. Because after they leave, the illegals used to go to mine. Yeah? And there were a lot of, I think our friends, the Chinese, used to go there to do some buying. Yeah.
And we don't even know what's happening in our own country. We are sleeping in
the so that was lithium, and it was an exploration, and I'm sure he's definitely has applied on it to get a mining license. Yeah, so it means it must be everywhere.
The investors who come into Zambia, who first start by breaking the law, maybe let me just ask this particular question. Mr. Kanyama, we've got quite a number of investors who come in the country with, exploration ideas, but they are mining. And sometimes we discover that even when we know that this is what they've been doing, they come and apply for a license we give them. Don't you think it's high time we started penalizing some of these investors so that we send a message to would-be investors who would also like to do the same. Because I know when they go there, they just say, just come to Zambia, the laws are pollers. You can even mine, people don't know. So do you think when someone breaks a law, they should be given even a license to mine, or they should be penalized for breaking the law because you said you were exploring, but you're mining?
Yeah, well, the first thing I can talk about that one is you have used the word itself, our laws are polished. It's our laws that allow them to sit in that bush without any Zambian near them. Yes, we have polished laws about mining to ourselves. We allow foreigners to get our own land without partnering with Zambians. They can do that, and they have done that, and they're doing that. They need to partner with us as Zambians. I cannot walk where we have been alone, or I'm with somebody. We need to explain to the local guy who is in charge, this person is looking for this here. We are doing this. Not the way we do it here, no. It has been quite bad, quite worse, whereby a Chinese can even shout to you as a federation member, who are you, get out. I've gone through that myself before. What are you doing here? Can I see your license? He can shout at you. Why? It's ourselves as Zambians. I don't know, maybe we are Christians. I don't understand that.
We're still using the aspect of Christian nation.
Yes. It's not fair to ourselves. It's not.
Of course, this is the breakfast show on Camnet TV Friday edition, and we are discussing capitalizing small-scale mining. Just in case you're tuning in, I know we are coming to the dying end of the program, and in studio I am joined by the Federation of Small-Scale Miners Association of Zambia committee member, Madam Mary Lubemba, and Mr. Joseph Kanyama. Quite a wonderful discussion we are having this morning on how we can promote small-scale mining and ensure that it contributes to the revenue streams of the country. Let's just, as we come to an end, talk about exports. I know you have been to countries, just like Madam Luemba here said, to say, when I went one time to China, he was showing me Sujilite. That already gives me a clear picture to say, you have been traveling to other countries where you've been, showcasing the minerals that we have in Zambia. What recommendations would you give that needs to be addressed to make it easy for you to go in these countries? Or maybe during the process of going to these countries, let's just hear some of the challenges that you are faced and how you would like those challenges to be addressed so that we can have quite a number of our own small-scale miners going out there to auction some of our country's minerals. Let me start with you, Madam.
Thank you. Just like you said that we've gone all over. We've gone all over, not just us, but through the Zambia Development Agency. Means of commerce, of course. They've done a lot where it concerns export. Because there are times when they invite us, when they're going for shows, for trade shows, expos. So when they invite you as maybe a federation or an individual company, you go. If you have a ticket, you go with them. You take your of course, your products, and you're given big orders, huge orders. But when you come, how do you work on the production? Like now, I've got an order where I can't even, do it because the machine I hired broke down, and this person is waiting. Yeah, so when you talk of export has been there since 1984 when Means of Commerce, 1987 when I first traveled with the Means of Commerce, and I continued with Export Board of Zambia, then Zambia Development Agency. They've done their job and they're still doing their job. So talking of export, we don't have any problem.
The challenges?
The challenges, it still comes back to production. Yeah, because when it talks of marketing, no. Like now we're having a delegation coming from India through the Federation. 40 big business people coming. Then you take samples. Then they will tell you this is the order that we give you in 1 month, and then you don't do it. Yeah, but the problem is it comes back to production, not marketing. Marketing, we've done it all. No, we've done it all. We don't have a problem. We salute the Minister of Commerce. We salute again the Zambia Development Agency. They've done a lot. Yeah.
Mr. Kanyama.
Thank you. Oh, you said she is a more fluent traveler who can explain it better, and which he has done. Adding to what, coming to our challenges, adding to what you're asking, yes, for sure we have challenges. Like this country is now, it's very much exposed to gold. We have a lot of gold in the country. It has its own challenges that we see. We're trying to sit with the government, finding out how can we come out, how can we overcome this. Gold is a pocket business. That's one sad part of gold. I feel bad that when I go in the bush, I would see people with gold. When I come back, go to Minister of Mines, I go in the office, can I see your reports? How many kgs of gold have you exported? From small scale, there is 0. Where does it go? It means people we sell it to, they put it in the pocket, it's not declared to the government. But how are we going to make our government progress if they can't be paying? It is our job, our duty, to help the government collect this money. But we can only do it when we have blessings and support from the government and us as a federation. We'll do that together. We'll do it together.
It actually makes a sad hearing. Just the way you've put it, to say when you go in the bush, you see almost everyone is mining gold. But when you go to the Ministry of Mines and you ask to say, let's see how much was exported, there's no figure. This just gives me a lot of questions of how illegally our gold is leaving the country undetected. Because there are quite a number of limiting factors that even our own people can't sell gold to our own ZCCMIH, because we now have ZCCMIH buying gold on behalf of the government of the Republic of Zambia. But when they come to you, they will say you're mining illegally. So there's a lot of illegal trade happening.
On that buying from ZCCM, it's something that we have talked about it. It sounds not to be making sense to some people. Because when a miner is mining here, where we are seated in by your office here, and the buyer is in Chongwe, he has worked the whole day, so I need to go to Chongwe to go and sell 1 gram of my gold for me to find food. It's not possible. I'll sell it to the nearest person because I want to eat now. I rest, I bath, I wait tomorrow. We have talked about it. Can you change your formula? The formula is not correct. The formula is not good. It does not give brain for a small scale miner to sell it to them. No. Because there are people who goes around with motorbikes buying gold. He has cash in his pocket. How many grams do you have? Here's my scale. Here's the money. Now I have to take it to Chongwe, to ZCCM. Am I normal? Who is sick? It's me.
That is Mr. Kanyama, and of course he is a committee member of the Federation of Small Scale Miners Association of Zambia. I know our policymakers are listening to these conversations, and the Federation has been quite prominent when it comes to offering checks and balances, and of course when it comes to commenting on this particular issue. So if you do want to know how you can go about mining, I feel inspired when I hear Madam Lumemba say she's traveled all over the country. She was just like me, all over the world. Pardon me. Yes, all over. She keeps saying all over. She was just one point like me, a small girl who just decided, I want to participate. And she took a step. What is important is first to take a step, and before you know it, you'll be the one traveling all over to auction minerals. This, of course, program is brought to you courtesy of the Federation of Small Scale Miners Association of Zambia. Unfortunately, this is where we have to end our program because we've run out of time. But remember, this program was also being streamed live on our Facebook page. If you want to hear where the conversation started from, you can just go to our Facebook page and listen to the discussion. It was a wonderful discussion with Madam Mary Lubemba here and Mr. Joseph Kanyama, who are both committee members of the Federation of Small-Scale Miners Association of Zambia. So from me, Prudence Chota, my guests, Madam Lubemba and Mr. Kanyama, and the entire Camnet TV production team, it's bye for now, and God bless you.
Bless you. Amen.